every single McDonald's hamburger has a story. A story that begins far away from the Golden Arches and goes through an incredible journey before it lands in your hands. Today, we're going to explore the extraordinary process of how McDonald's hamburgers are made, from the humble beginnings of their raw ingredients to the sizzling final product. It's a journey that involves innovation, precision, and a touch of history, all coming together to create one of the most iconic foods of modern times. Let's take a step back in time to understand where it all began. McDonald's wasn't always the global fast food powerhouse we know today. In 1940, two brothers, Richard and Maurice McDonald, opened a small drive-in restaurant in San Bernardino, California. Their vision was simple: serve quality food fast. In those early days, hamburgers weren't the industry-defining item they are now. It wasn't until Ray Kroc joined the team in 1954 and expanded McDonald's into a franchise model that the humble hamburger became a symbol of consistency, efficiency, and flavor. It wasn't just a meal. It became an experience, one that millions around the world associate with childhood memories, road trips, and the comforting familiarity of the Golden Arches. So, how does McDonald's ensure that every hamburger tastes the same, whether you're grabbing a bite in Texas or New York City? It all starts with the sourcing of the raw ingredients. McDonald's prides itself on using 100% pure beef for its patties. That's right, no fillers, no preservatives, just beef. But not just any beef will do. The company works with suppliers who meet rigorous standards to ensure the highest quality. These suppliers source cattle raised on farms across the United States, adhering to strict guidelines for animal welfare and sustainability. The beef must have the right balance of fat and lean meat, which is crucial for creating that juicy, flavorful patty we all know and love. Once the cattle are raised and the beef is harvested, it's transported to state-of-the-art processing facilities. This is where the magic begins. At these facilities, the beef is inspected, trimmed, and ground to the perfect consistency. The grinding process is a marvel of modern engineering. Large cuts of beef are passed through industrial grinders that ensure a consistent texture, eliminating any guesswork. After grinding, the beef is shaped into patties using high-speed machinery that forms each patty to the exact specifications of McDonald's iconic burgers. These machines work with incredible precision, churning out thousands of patties an hour, each one identical in size and shape. But we're not done yet. The patties are then flash frozen to lock in their freshness and flavor. This step is critical because it ensures that the patties maintain their quality from the moment they leave the factory to the time they're cooked on the grill. Flash freezing involves rapidly lowering the temperature of the patties to preserve their natural juices, making sure every bite is as satisfying as the last. Once frozen, the patties are packaged and sent to distribution centers, where they're stored in temperature-controlled environments before being delivered to McDonald's restaurants around the country. Now let's talk about the other essential components of the hamburger, starting with the buns. McDonald's buns are just as important as the beef patties. They're soft, fluffy, and slightly sweet, providing the perfect complement to the savory beef. The journey of a McDonald's bun begins with high-quality wheat. This wheat is grown in fields across the U.S., harvested, and milled into flour. The flour is then sent to specialized bakeries that work exclusively for McDonald's. Here, the dough is mixed, proofed, and baked to perfection. The buns are sliced and packaged before being shipped to McDonald's locations, ensuring they arrive fresh and ready to serve. Of course, no hamburger is complete without its toppings. The lettuce, tomatoes, and onions used in McDonald's burgers are sourced from farms that follow strict quality standards. The lettuce is crisp and fresh, the tomatoes are ripe and juicy, and the onions add just the right amount of zing. These vegetables are carefully grown, harvested, and transported to processing facilities where they're washed, sliced, and packaged. The attention to detail here is astounding. Every slice of tomato and piece of lettuce is checked to make sure it meets McDonald's exacting standards. Now, let's address one of the unsung heroes of the McDonald's hamburger, the pickles. These tangy slices are made from cucumbers that are brined in a special solution to achieve their signature flavor. The pickles add a burst of acidity that perfectly balances the richness of the beef and the sweetness of the bun. Once all the ingredients are ready, they're sent to McDonald's restaurants, where the final assembly takes place. At the restaurant, the patties are cooked on flat-top grills. The grilling process is an art in itself. The patties are cooked to precise temperatures to ensure they're juicy and flavorful, and they're seasoned with a simple sprinkle of salt and pepper. While the patties are grilling, the buns are toasted to enhance their flavor and texture. This step might seem small, but it makes a big difference in the overall experience of the burger. The assembly process is where everything comes together. The toasted bun is placed at the bottom, followed by the cooked patty. Then comes a dollop of ketchup and mustard, a couple of pickles, and a slice of fresh onion. Finally, the top bun is placed, completing the burger. Each burger is wrapped or boxed with care, ensuring it stays warm and intact until it reaches the customer. What makes this entire process so remarkable is the consistency. Whether you're in Los Angeles or Chicago, your McDonald's hamburger will taste the same, thanks to the meticulous attention to detail at every step of the journey. This consistency is no accident. It's the result of decades of refinement and innovation. But McDonald's isn't just about making great food, it's also about doing it responsibly. The company is committed to sustainability, from the farms where its ingredients are grown to the factories where they're processed. McDonald's works with suppliers who use eco-friendly farming methods, such as crop rotation and water conservation. The factories that produce the patties and buns are designed to minimize waste and energy consumption, making the process as efficient as possible.
Hey folk, let me ask you one question. How much do you really know about Nutella? You know it's delicious, of course. You've probably spread it on toast, used it to top pancakes, or, let's be honest here, eaten it by the spoonful straight from the jar. But have you ever stopped to wonder how this jar of pure delight actually makes it to your table? The journey starts far from the shelves of your local grocery store. It begins in the fields. Cocoa pods ripening under the sun, hazelnuts being harvested, sugar beets dug up from the earth. Today, we're peeling back the layers and diving into the entire process, from cocoa pod to Nutella jar. So grab a snack and stick around. We're about to explore how this fan-favorite spread goes from farm to factory and finally into your hands. We will begin our journey at the cocoa plantations. Cocoa, it's possible that you've heard it wrong. Although most of us are familiar with it as an ingredient in chocolate, few of us have ever seen the actual production process. Imagine a forest of verdant, tropical trees, each one clustered with a plethora of golden cocoa pods. Using their machetes as if they were an extension of their arm, skilled laborers systematically traverse the fields. They are exceedingly precise, picking only the ripest pods and letting the rest ripen to perfection. Working with cocoa pods, which contain the seeds that will grow into beans, is a physically demanding and time-sensitive process. The flavor of your Nutella actually starts with these seeds. Workers carefully load up big baskets with the harvest, taking care not to break any pods along the way. The following phase starts after they have collected a haul. On the way to the processing factory, the workers check each basket full of pods to make sure they are still of the highest quality. The first transition occurs when the pods arrive at the processing plant. In order to remove any dirt, leaves, or other impurities that may have accompanied them from the farm, they are spread out on tables and scrubbed clean by either humans or machines. The delicate cocoa flavor could be ruined if any contaminants are introduced at this critical stage. When the pods start to shine, it's time to open them. Workers carefully crack open each pod using sharp instruments, exposing rows of shiny, wet cocoa beans enclosed by a gooey, white pulp. The beans still don't resemble chocolate in any significant way. They resemble soft, chewy seeds at the moment. The secret to Nutella's famous flavor is actually inside these beans, so don't be deceived. Scooping out the beans from the pods is the next step. Although this step requires a lot of manual labor, every bean is important. The objective is straightforward. Preserve the integrity of each and every useful seed while extracting it. The beans are sorted after they are free to make sure only the best ones move on to the next step. The ones that make it through the inspection can be dried now. The air drying process, which is gradual and steady, will now begin. You would be correct in picturing these beans being baked in the scorching sun. The beans are spread out on huge drying platforms and allowed to soak up the heat. Not only will this make them dry, but it will also bring out their natural flavor. As they dry, the beans lose water, which concentrates their chocolatey flavor. Depending on the weather and the unique requirements of each batch, this procedure can take days or even longer. The beans are ready for quality testing when they are completely dried. Professionals step in at this point. They listen for the sound of cracked beans in addition to size, color, and scent when evaluating beans. After each bean is examined, it is placed aside and marked for the next stage of the process. However, batches are either reprocessed or rejected if they do not fulfill the stringent quality standards. No bean will do unless it meets the exacting standards of Nutella. Now that everything is in order, the beans can be roasted. Things begin to smell absolutely lovely at this point. Imagine enormous roasters, turning the beans gently to get an even roast while maintaining high temperatures. The objective is to accentuate the robust flavor that will underpin the chocolatey Nutella flavor. After roasting is finished, the beans are passed through a machine that removes the cocoa nibs from the husks. The process revolves around the nibs, which are the raw materials used to make cocoa powder. To effectively eliminate the husks while preserving the nibs, the separating process must be meticulous. Accurately striking this equilibrium requires high-tech equipment. The nibs that have been separated are gathered and prepared for their subsequent metamorphosis. Prior to delving into that topic, it is important to mention that the entirety of the cocoa bean is utilized, even the husks, which can be transformed into alternative goods. Effort is not wasted. The nibs can be separated and ground into a fine powder now. The chocolate taste basis that will become Nutella's soul is this powder. Not any powder, though. It takes a lot of skill to grind cocoa nibs. To achieve a fine, smooth texture, the nibs are first ground several times after being broken down into smaller pieces. Extracting the cocoa butter from the nibs is the first step in making a thick, rich powder that may be mixed with other ingredients. This is the second round of quality checks on the powder, during which we measure its uniformity, flavor, and texture. It is returned to the grinding table for a second attempt if it fails. After it's just right, it's put in a bag and put aside until it meets the other Nutella stars: milk, sugar, and hazelnuts. The sugar beet farms are our next stop, so let's change topics. Sugar is a key ingredient in Nutella, but it's easy to forget that the spread wouldn't be the same without it. After removing them from the ground and shaking off any leftover dirt, farmers harvest tons of sugar beets. After harvesting, the beets are taken to a processing facility to undergo cleaning, cutting, and shredding. Fascinatingly, all parts of the beet are utilized in this process, whether it's for sugar or other byproducts. There is a lengthy process that begins with shredding the beets and ends with boiling and centrifuging the liquid to separate the sugar crystals from the pulp. Nutella goes through extensive quality testing before any sugar is added, making ensuring the sugar is completely pure, free of any impurities that could change the texture or flavor of the end result is the main objective. The mixing stage is reserved for the finest sugar. All right, let's move on to milk. A lot of credit for Nutella's velvety consistency goes to the high-quality milk that went into making it. Where the cows are fed and cared for properly is where the milk comes from. There will always be plenty of Nutella-quality milk from these cows because they are bred to produce a lot of milk. Transporting the milk to a facility for testing ensures it satisfies all regulations once it is collected. We will reject anything that even slightly tastes odd or seems contaminated. Milk is processed into milk powder after it passes all tests. This powder is then combined with the other ingredients. Collecting and preparing hazelnuts. Without a doubt, hazelnuts are the most recognizable Nutella component. The finest hazelnuts are plucked in the late summer from Turkish orchards. Ripe hazelnuts fall to the ground as a result of machinery gently shaking the trees. The next step is to collect the nuts, sort them, and then send them to the processing plant. The hazelnuts are roasted to bring out their rich, nutty flavor after being cleaned to remove any impurities. Only the finest hazelnuts are selected for further inspection after roasting. At last, they are ground into a paste that will give Nutella its rich, nutty flavor. Unfortunately, palm oil is essential to Nutella's velvety smoothness, despite its undeserved negative reputation. Produced from sustainably farmed palm fruits, Nutella's palm oil is a secret ingredient. Before pressing the fruits to extract their oil, they are sanitized to kill any bacteria. Before it's mixed with Nutella, this oil is filtered and refined to make sure it's top-notch. Combine all of the ingredients at once. The hazelnut paste, cocoa powder, sugar, and milk powder are mixed in big industrial mixers. The meticulous mixing process gives Nutella its signature silky smooth texture by allowing all of the ingredients plenty of time to blend together. Technicians watch the blending process closely at every stage to make sure the consistency is perfect, which might take hours. To achieve perfection, every parameter is precisely controlled, including temperature, mixing speed, and even room humidity. Once all the ingredients are in the mixer, cocoa powder, hazelnut paste, sugar, milk powder, and the all-important palm oil, what happens next is pure culinary chemistry. The ingredients don't just mix together right away, it's a process, carefully timed and executed to create that signature creamy texture Nutella is famous for. The mixer starts off slow, blending everything together in stages. First, the dry ingredients are fully incorporated, ensuring that there are no lumps or inconsistencies in the powder. This is where attention to detail is key. Too fast, and the mixture becomes too dense. Too slow, and it won't blend properly. After the initial mixing, the process ramps up. Now it's all about refining the texture. The mixture is continuously stirred and whipped with the goal of achieving that iconic smoothness. Machines are constantly monitoring the consistency to make sure there are no gritty bits and that the spread remains light and silky. The temperature is carefully controlled as well, ensuring that none of the ingredients overheat or separate. During this phase, secret ingredients are added, small touches that give Nutella its unique flavor profile. These are tightly guarded by the company, so we can only speculate what might go in. But once those are added, the mixture is stirred for hours until it reaches the perfect consistency. By now, it's not just a collection of ingredients, it's Nutella, ready to be jarred and enjoyed. Now that the Nutella has reached its final form, it's time to package it up. This part of the process is mesmerizing to watch. Picture huge vats of Nutella being funneled into a network of automated machines, each one responsible for filling those iconic jars. The machinery is precise. Each jar is filled to the exact same level, with no spills or excess. As the jars pass down the conveyor belt, they're quickly capped with airtight lids to lock in the freshness. The lids are then sealed to preserve the flavor and keep out any unwanted air. This is crucial because Nutella's texture and flavor can change if exposed to the wrong conditions. The next step is quality control. As the jars whiz by, workers and machines alike are on the lookout for any imperfections. Whether it's a jar that wasn't filled enough, a lid that wasn't properly sealed, or a label that's out of place, those jars are quickly pulled from the line to be reprocessed. The remaining jars continue their journey, ready to be labeled. With the jars now sealed, it's time for labeling and distribution. Automated machines print the famous Nutella labels and apply them to each jar with precision. The labels are more than just decoration. They contain vital information like the expiration date, nutritional facts, and a barcode that will track each jar on its journey from the factory to the store. After labeling, the jars are boxed up and prepared for shipping. Depending on the destination, they might be packed into crates, loaded on. It has been enjoyed by humans since the 9th century, right? It's incredible to think that this popular beverage, which is present in almost every home today, has such a long and storied past. Coffee has adapted to various climates and civilizations as it has wandered the world, from the ancient coffee woods of Ethiopia to the thriving coffee houses of Europe and the Americas. In this installment, we will delve into Brazil, one of the world's leading coffee producers, because every cup has a tale to tell. But before we move further, please make sure to subscribe to our channel so that we can afford to create such free videos for you. To begin, if you would want to see more in-depth explorations of farming and food production, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications. Watch more videos like this because of your support. Brazil is the next logical step in the coffee cultivation industry. Therefore, let's go there. In the world of coffee, Brazil is unrivaled. It produces an astounding 33% of the world's coffee, making it the top producer in the world. With an astounding 8 million farmers devoted to the trade, Brazil boasts 18 billion coffee trees. The supply of coffee that you enjoy in the morning is ensured by the labor of 8 million Americans. Arabica coffee is Brazil's specialty. Arabica, a type of coffee grown in the mountains, is more expensive and renowned for its sweet flavor and exceptional quality. Indulge in a gourmet experience with every sip of this coffee. Because of its varied topography and hardworking farmers, Brazil has become an expert grower of Arabica coffee. about the excellent stuff? It is probably Brazilian. How is the cultivation of coffee beans unique in Brazil? It combines both old and new ways of doing things. Envision a farm where traditional hard work is complemented by state-of-the-art machinery. Mountainous regions still have their fair share of coffee grown by farmers who handpick each bean. More and more, farmers are using AI into their operations to aid with weather forecasting, soil health monitoring, and crop production optimization. It's a combination of modern technology with more conventional elements. Preparing the land is the first step in the trip. Fertile coffee plantations are created by farmers from uncultivated lands. After the soil is plowed and leveled, the planting media can be organized. Soil preparation is an important first step before using a tractor for harvesting or maintenance purposes. Artificial intelligence, AI, won't be of any use without this foundation. Seed selection is the next step. The ideal seeds for this crop are those that are healthy, pest-free, have a short stem, and the correct crown shape. By evaluating the seeds for best growth potential, AI technology helps in this procedure. After selection, the seeds are taken to the nursery for further care until they are prepared to be planted. Envision a vast field of tiny coffee plants, each one carefully preparing to produce your next mug of Java. When seedlings have spent around 10 to 12 weeks in the nursery, it is time to transfer them to polybags. There will be a major transplant after 4 or 5 more months. Heavy lifting is done by specialized tractors who plant the seedlings at the optimal spacing to guarantee their robust and healthy growth. Better production and less maintenance are possible because to the exact spacing. The actual labor starts now that the seedlings are planted. To prevent invasive species from taking over, weeding must be done regularly. Another important thing that farmers do is use tractors to till and aerate the soil so that it retains its structure. An important step in the process is fertilization. 3 times a year, farmers supplement the plant's nutritional needs with a mix of chemical fertilizers, compost, and manure. Limestone is a trick that may surprise you. Industrial limestone, when applied to soil by Brazilian farmers during the growing season, can boost coffee yields by as much as 40%. Limestone is essential for a successful harvest because it helps balance the acidity of the soil. Accurate dosing is crucial. Either too little or too much will have negative effects. Brazilian coffee growers have pests under control, which is a major plus for producers. They find infestations quickly and cure them using both natural and AI-monitored approaches. It is usual practice to use tractors that have sprayers for pesticides and fungicides. Here, pruning is also important. In preparation for the coffee plant's flowering season, farmers prune the trees and remove any diseased or otherwise unhealthy branches. It is now time to harvest, which takes approximately 2.5 to 3 years. Half a kilogram to 1 kilogram of coffee can be harvested from each Arabica plant. These days, tractors are used for the job because they can collect a lot of coffee cherries fast. Although this approach is quick, it does have certain difficulties. Unfortunately, machines don't always pick the best beans or don't treat plants well. That is when harvesting by hand becomes useful. Manual harvesting is slower, but it ensures a superior quality product since growers can select just the best cherry. Because of its exceptional taste and consistency, this coffee is frequently sold at a higher price. When you want the best of the best, go for hand-picked coffee. The process is far from over even after the coffee cherries have been plucked. Two primary ways exist for processing the cherries. But first, we need to discuss drying and roasting. These steps taken after harvest account for 40% of the total quality of the coffee. Feel free to do so, okay? All that effort in the field can be for nothing if it isn't managed properly. The natural process is the name of the initial approach. This method entails exposing the coffee cherries to sunlight while they are still whole, skin and all. Even drying of the cherries, which might take many weeks, requires constant turning by the farmers. The honey process is the second approach. In this step, a machine removes the cherry skin, exposing a sticky mucilage layer that imparts a honey-like flavor to the coffee. By keeping an eye on these procedures, AI can guarantee their quality and consistency. So, what can American coffee growers learn from their Brazilian counterparts? To begin, they can mimic Brazil's carefree approach to seed picking, which includes using artificial intelligence to assess seed quality. Limestone and other land preparation techniques have the potential to revolutionize crop production and financial returns. Combining state-of-the-art AI-driven technologies with Brazil's traditional practices could be a game changer for American farmers in the future. Sustainable approaches, like as the honey process, which aim to balance efficiency with quality, could help American coffee farms succeed in the long run. To keep American coffee production competitive internationally, this endeavor might be strengthened by using natural pest control approaches in irrigation systems powered by artificial intelligence.
In this video, we're taking you behind the scenes to show you how your favorite burgers are mass-produced in a factory. From raw beef to a sizzling patty, crispy lettuce, and those fluffy golden buns, you'll see just how amazing food processing machines and technology work together to create America's most popular sandwich. Trust me, it's not just about beef, it's a science of its own. Before we dive in, if you're a fan of seeing how your food is made, go ahead and hit that like button, drop a comment, and of course, subscribe so you never miss a bite of the action. The origins of the hamburger. Before we dive into the nitty-gritty of how hamburgers are made in factories, let's take a step back and look at where it all began. You may be surprised to know that the history of the hamburger stretches back to the late 19th century. Though hamburgers are a quintessential American food, their origins can be traced to German immigrants who brought their culinary traditions to the U.S. The term hamburger comes from the German city of Hamburg, known for its seasoned, minced beef patties. But it wasn't until American ingenuity met the mass production needs of the 20th century that hamburgers became what they are today. Popularized in the early 1900s by fast food pioneers like White Castle and later McDonald's, the hamburger quickly became an American icon. Fast food revolutionized how we think about hamburgers, turning them from a homemade delicacy into a product that could be mass-produced for millions to enjoy daily. Today, factories across the U.S. churn out millions of hamburgers a day, using cutting-edge technology to ensure consistency, flavor, and speed. The ingredients: farm to factory. Now, let's break down the core of any good burger, the ingredients. It all starts with the beef, which usually comes from farms across the country. These farms raise cattle specifically for food processing, and the process of transforming this raw beef into a factory-made hamburger begins here. Once the cattle are processed, the beef is transported to food processing factories, where it's inspected for quality by the USDA. Only the highest quality beef makes it through, as these factories are required to meet strict standards to ensure that the final product is safe and delicious. Inside the factory, the beef is cut into manageable portions, and the trimming process begins. This is where excess fat and bone are removed, leaving only the lean meat that will be ground down into the perfect hamburger patty. To give the burgers their signature flavor, seasoning like salt, pepper, and other spices are mixed into the meat using massive food processing machines that can handle thousands of pounds of beef at a time. Grinding and shaping the patties. After the beef is seasoned, the next step is grinding. Large grinding machines transform the seasoned beef into a fine mixture, perfect for forming hamburger patties. Unlike your home kitchen, where you might use a small meat grinder, factory food processing machines are designed to grind hundreds of pounds of meat every minute. These machines ensure that every batch of ground beef is consistent in texture and flavor. Once the meat is finely ground, it's time to form the patties. The ground beef moves down a conveyor belt and into a patty-forming machine. This incredible piece of machinery automatically divides the ground beef into perfectly sized portions and presses them into uniform, circular patties. Each patty weighs exactly the same, typically around 4 to 6 ounces, ensuring that the cooking process will be consistent across the board. It's a well-oiled system, literally. These machines are designed to function efficiently, producing hundreds of burger patties every minute, and because of their speed and precision, the hamburgers you eat from fast food chains or buy at the grocery store will always be the same, every single time. Now that the patties are formed, it's time for what many consider the best part, the cooking. But how do factories cook thousands of burgers so quickly without sacrificing flavor or juiciness? The answer lies in the sophisticated grilling equipment used in food factories. The patties travel through what's called a grill zone, a large conveyor belt with industrial-sized grills underneath. These grills mimic the backyard grilling experience, but on a much larger scale. The patties are seared on high heat to lock in the juices, giving them that delicious, crispy outer layer that burger lovers crave. To ensure even cooking, the patties pass through different process zones. These are stages where the cooking temperature is controlled, ensuring the meat cooks thoroughly while still retaining its moisture. As the patties sizzle away, a steam system may be employed to help keep the burgers juicy. In some factories, a secondary cooking process takes place where the patties are lightly steamed to ensure that every bite is moist and flavorful. Cooling and packaging the patties. Once the patties are fully cooked, They need to cool down quickly to maintain freshness and prevent bacterial growth. In the cooling zone, conveyor belts carry the patties through a temperature-controlled area where they cool rapidly but evenly. It's a crucial step. Too fast, and the burgers dry out. Too slow, and they could spoil. Next comes the packaging process. Using advanced food processing technology, each patty is placed into airtight packaging to preserve its freshness. This ensures that the burger you eventually eat will taste just as good as the moment it came off the grill. Modern packaging machines are a marvel of efficiency, capable of sealing hundreds of patties per minute. And let's not forget labeling. Each package is labeled with the necessary nutritional information, the date it was packaged, and a lot number for tracking. These steps are essential to maintaining food safety standards, ensuring that consumers can trust the product they're purchasing. The buns. From dough to oven. A burger isn't complete without the bun, right? After all, it's what holds everything together. In hamburger factories, bun making is a whole process in itself. It starts with the dough, which is prepared in massive mixing machines capable of handling hundreds of pounds of ingredients at once. The dough is mixed with yeast, flour, sugar, and water to form the perfect burger bun base. Once the dough is mixed, it's portioned into individual bun shapes by, you guessed it, another food processing machine. These dough portions are placed on large baking sheets and sent down the line into enormous ovens that bake thousands of buns in a single batch. Each bun is baked to golden perfection, ensuring it's fluffy on the inside but sturdy enough to hold that juicy patty without falling apart. After baking, the buns go through a quick cooling process similar to the patties before they're packaged and sent off to meet their beefy counterparts. Assembly, putting it all together. Now comes the fun part, putting the entire hamburger together. This step is all about automation. The patties and buns are brought together on an assembly line, where machines carefully place the patties onto the buns. If the burger is being made for a fast food chain, machines will also add toppings like lettuce, tomato, and cheese. Condiments like ketchup and mustard are applied using precision nozzles, ensuring just the right amount of sauce goes on each burger. The finished burgers are then wrapped or boxed, ready for distribution. This highly efficient assembly process allows factories to produce thousands of hamburgers in a short amount of time, all while maintaining consistency and quality. Final packaging and distribution. With the hamburgers assembled and ready, they're packaged for distribution. Large packaging machines place the burgers in boxes or wrappers, which are then sealed to keep them fresh during transport. Factories often use special packaging designed to keep the burgers warm, especially if they're being delivered directly to fast food restaurants. From there, the burgers are loaded onto refrigerated trucks and distributed across the country. Whether they're heading to fast food chains, grocery stores, or even school cafeterias, these burgers are kept at the perfect temperature to ensure they're fresh and ready to enjoy by the time they reach the consumer. So, there you have it. From farm to factory, we've taken a deep dive into how hamburgers are made, revealing the incredible technology and machines that make it possible to produce millions of hamburgers every day. From the grinding of the beef to the perfect baking of the buns, this process is a well-oiled machine, just like the burgers themselves. If you're loving these behind-the-scenes looks at how your favorite foods are made, don't forget to subscribe for more. Drop us a comment about what food you'd like to see next. Innovations in hamburger production. Now, let's talk a little about some of the innovations happening in the world of hamburger production. As more consumers become interested in health and sustainability, factories are evolving to meet those demands. For instance, AI and automation are now being used to improve quality control and reduce food waste in factories. These advanced systems monitor everything from ingredient quality to the exact temperature of the grills. And let's not forget about the rise of plant-based burgers, which are becoming more popular in the market. Factories are adapting their processes to produce alternatives like veggie burgers, using the same high-tech machinery to ensure they taste just as good as the real thing. Thanks for joining us on this burger-filled journey. If you enjoyed seeing how hamburgers are made, be sure to give this video a like, drop a comment with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing Food Factory content. We'll catch you in the next one.